Hey guys, a few years ago, I started creating a course to help people kickstart their business. But before we could finalize it, life just got in the way. So instead, I've decided to just release this free for all of you to watch and use. This video will be a walkthrough on registering for GST and PAYG withholding. Keep in mind, since the content is a few years old, some things may appear outdated on the website. However, the steps and the information is more or less still up to date. Now, onto the video. If you're a sole trader, you've more than likely heard of GST. Goods and services tax is a 10% tax on goods and services and other items sold or consumed in Australia. So how does GST work? Generally, businesses register for GST will include GST in their price they charge for their goods and services, claim GST for the GST included in the price of goods and services they purchase for their business. However, not all services or products have GST on them, so here's a list that is GST free. Most basic foods, some medical, health and care services, some medical aids and appliances, some religious services and charitable activities, and sales through duty-free shops. It's important to note that you only need to register for GST if you expect to make sales over $75,000 a year. This isn't including any other type of income you earn, such as wages from your employer. It's strictly just business income. So if your business is a side hustle and it's in early stages and you don't think you'll make anywhere close to $75,000 in your first financial year, then you can basically skip this step for now. Be aware, it's a legal requirement to register for GST when you're expecting to make $75,000. So come back to this step when you're ready. For those estimating to make over $75,000 this financial year, here's how to register for GST.
So once you've logged onto the business portal, it's quite easy to register for GST. So once you've set up business portal, log on to the dashboard, go into registrations, business registration details, and then scroll all the way to the bottom and you would see registrations here in this drop down box. So click on here, click on next, and then there should be something called activity statement 1. So this is where you can register for GST. So highlight this and then click on tax type. It would show a blank screen. The reason why it's showing a blank screen is because you don't have GST registered and you don't have PAYG withholding registered. So in order to register for GST, you click on add tax type. So GST will pop up. And now you can click on the GST part. You'll get to this part here and it would say, do you want to register for GST or income tax withholding? So GST obviously is the 10% GST that we're trying to register. Income tax withholding is when you have employees. So if you have employees, there's another name for it. It's called PAYG withholding. Once you are employing employees, so if you're a sole trader, you don't need to set up this. But if you have an employee on the side that you're paying wages to, then you'll have to set up income tax withholding. And we'll go into the detail of that later on down the track. But GST is what you are registering for, so tick that and click next. Then it would ask you a series of questions. So the first question is, are you required to register for GST? So what does that mean? Basically, it means that if you're earning over $75,000, you have to register for GST. So you will tick yes if that's the case. So if you're over 75K, tick yes in turnover. It doesn't have to be currently right now. It could be what you're estimating in the next 12 months. If you think you're going to be under and you just want to register for GST anyway, tick no. And then the next question says, if you're not required to register for GST, are you volunteering to register for GST? Some clients would want to do this because they want to register for GST because the income that they make is GST free and the expenses they pay have GST on it. So therefore they always get tax refunds when it comes to lodging their BASs. So more than likely, even though they're under 75K in turnover, they want to kind of get back that 10% GST. In those cases is when you're running a business in a medical profession, you're a chiro, physio, your sales that you're making are GST free, but your expenses have GST on it. So it's good to do your business activity statements and it's good to register for GST. In this case, with this client, it's actually the opposite. So this client actually is required to register for GST. The answers is yes and no here because they're not volunteering to register for GST. So what is your date of registration for GST? So when you start your business or when you start your sole trader business, always drag it back to the first day of the quarter. So the quarters start from 1st of April, 1st of July, 1st of October, and then the 1st of January. So choose one of those dates if you're starting within one of those quarters. So in this case here, I'm going to put it as 1st of July 2020 for this client because he started his business in August 2020. What is your GST turnover? GST turnover is basically the money that you're going to make excluding GST. So if you're going to turn over more than $75,000, you tick that 75,000 to 150K roughly. We normally tell our clients that you want to stay between this one or this one here, 150 to 2 mil or 75K to 150. Don't go 2 mil to 10 mil or 10 mil to 20 if you're not really sure how much you're making. Because obviously you're starting your business, you're not really sure how much you're making. Obviously you want to be on around here. But if you tick those ones, that means that you're forced to do more reporting. And what I mean by that is that you're forced to do monthly reporting rather than quarterly. You can't choose one or the other. The only time you're allowed to do annual reporting is when you're under 75K. So if you're under 75K and you're not required to register for GST, but you're voluntarily registering for GST, then you can tick the annual. If you're over, so let's just say 150K to 2 mil, for example, you have to tick this quarterly or the monthly. We recommend to our clients to do quarterly so you don't have to report too much and waste too much of your time. So the next question is, how do you intend to account for GST? Cash versus accruals, which is also known as non-cash. The difference between that is when you report GST, you actually have to report your income and expenses and how much you paid for your GST on your expenses and how much you received in GST on your income. For cash, it basically means that you're reporting the GST when you've received it in your bank account or you've paid it out of your bank account. Non-cash means we report GST that we've invoiced and GST that we've received the invoice for. So we don't have to have physically paid those amounts or received the amounts, and we still have to pay GST for it. So the bigger you grow in business and the bigger your business, most of the time, those big businesses will report on accruals, which is also named non-cash. More than likely, if you're a sole trader, you usually report on a cash basis. So tick the cash button, basically. So do you import goods and services in Australia? I'll leave that to, it's pretty self-explanatory. In this case, it's no. Do you wish to register for access to tax office online services? Say yes, because this allows the tax office to digitally send you notices and digitally communicate with you. And then that will ask you for your email, obviously. So put in your email, obviously review your questions. Once you reviewed it, tick next, and it will take you to the next page. So now you're signing the form to say that, yeah, you confirm these figures and the numbers that you've put in, as well as like, you know, the confirmation of the transaction details will be provided to you after. So once you click submit, basically you'll be registered for GST. So the next thing is you'll wait 1 day and it will show up on the ABN portal. All right, once you've clicked submit, this will show you that you've actually done it correctly. What you need to do is go onto your Google and search up ABN lookup. Now, what you need to do is search up your name. So in this case here, let's search up Dave's Plumbing or Davey Mac, which is my name. And you find that most of the time that your name will be at the top, but if you have a very common name, maybe search for the ABN instead. If you do search for it, you'll notice that it would actually show if you're registered for GST. So sometimes you might have to wait 1 to 2 days for it to update, but after 1 to 2 days, it would update. And once that's happened, you would show up here that, yeah, you're registered for GST. So this is like data that you can see everywhere. So if you can see this everywhere, the person that you're providing your invoices to can see it as well. So they will check this when they're paying the invoices to double check you with GST. So that's pretty much how you register for GST. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty easy to go through this as long as you have your business portal. But let me know if you have any questions. Cool.